Check. 1, 2, 3.
The D.
Brief.
This is the D. Brief.
Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's arts
and entertainment scene.
This is the D.
Brief.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Seth Ressler, and normally what we do on Tuesdays is Becky and I host a episode of the podcast where we tell you everything that's going on around town. Becky, unfortunately, is sick today, so it's just me holding down the fort. But I am here with Dave Serio, who is the festival curator for the Arab Film Festival, which is coming up June 7th through the 16th at the Arab American National Museum in Dearborn. Dave, welcome back to the podcast. We had you on last year. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thank you for having me.
So for somebody who has never been, tell me about this film festival.
So the Arab Film Festival, this is the 14th annual film festival at the Arab American National Museum. And the film festival really is there to showcase the best of the best films from across the Arab world and amongst the Arab American community and bringing them to the doorsteps of Metro Detroit. If you go to the website or if you've seen any of our other film festivals before, most of the films make their Michigan premiere, so which means a lot of the films don't necessarily grace Michigan. And so our job is to bring some of the best films across the world to the doorstep of Metro Detroit, making their premieres.
So I always want to ask this question. The word Arab, the word Muslim, the word Middle Eastern, they don't all mean the same thing. Can you talk about that a little bit and explain what that means in terms of these films that you're going to be showing at the film festival this year?
Sure. So in terms of the film festival, we focus on films from the Arab American community and from the 22 Arab countries that exist in the world. If you look, and like you said, the words are definitely not synonymous. Arab does not equal Muslim, and Muslim does not equal Arab. So our film selection is specifically from the 22 different countries that are considered to be part of the Arab world, and then any diaspora communities from those 22 countries that, comes from, speaks Arabic or relates to one of those countries through culture or history.
And I'm sure a big question a lot of people must ask about this is, are these films in English, or do you need to know Arabic to come watch the festival?
That's a really good question. I usually get that question first and foremost from people that are new to the festival. But yeah, so all films are English subtitled. There are actually a few programs. So a few of my friends are actually coming to the program, and they're like, "Which are the English speaking films?" Because it's easier. It's a little bit easier. I get that. But there are a couple of English speaking films that'll be taking place as well, like our Arab American Shorts program, which is mostly in English.
Aside from the language, and obviously there's going to be certain cultural differences, but in terms of filmmaking style, are there big differences between, Arab films and Western films?
That's a good question. I don't know, to be completely honest. I'm still kind of coming into my role as a film person, like a film curator. But I really wouldn't say that there's much of a notable difference. I think if there is a difference, I think that the difference might come with the theme, kind of like the thematics that the films are kind of surrounded around. So I feel like a lot of the Arab world films are talking about issues that are happening in their backyard. So issues on immigration and refugees, on war, political conflict, on navigating through different identities in those countries. So I think the themes might be a little bit different, but in terms of style and professionalism and kind of the run of the mill, what films should have, I think they're pretty much similar.
So let's walk through some of the different categories of films that you have this year, starting with the dramas.
Sure.
How many dramas have you got, and what are some of the ones that you're really looking forward to?
So we have 6 feature film dramas, and we have in our shorts program, we also have a couple of different shorts programs that are mostly full of dramas. My favorites, this is always such a tough question. My favorites, I guess, would be, I'll give you 2 if I may.
Sure.
One is Capernaum, the film by Nadine Lebeki, which has been blowing up cinemas all over the world. It's a huge film and it's beautifully, beautifully done. If you don't leave if you don't leave watching that film with a tear in your eye or some type of emotional, gut feeling in your gut, you must have missed something in the film. It's just such a powerful, raw, portrayal of Zain, the main character in his life.
So what's it about? Give us a little synopsis.
Teaser. So it's really it focuses on this boy named Zain, and Zain is suing his parents for giving him life. And so it kind of starts off in the court system. And then we kind of go into the flashback about why Zain is suing his parents, and it really focuses on Zain and just to put it bluntly, his miserable upbringing of, being in a family that can't take care of their kids, internally living in poverty. And so he kind of tries to change his circumstances by running away. And he gets into a couple of different adventures, and he ends up taking care of he meets this housekeeper and ends up taking care of her child. And that's just kind of his existence. And then a few other things kind of happen to shake up his world multiple times. And that leads him to going to court to suing his parents.
So that's one of your highlights.
One of my highlights.
What's the second one?
The other highlight, I would say, is a film called Sophia. It's a Moroccan film about a young woman who has a baby out of wedlock. And in Morocco, it is illegal to have sex and have a baby outside of marriage. And so this young woman now has to kind of piece her life together and figure out, what she's going to do. Because, if she, doesn't marry the baby's father, she'll go to prison. The baby's dad will go to prison. And then with that, family reputation is at stake, and there's a lot at stake. So we kind of see her navigate her, trying to find the baby's dad and kind of having him accept what's going, that there's a baby in the picture now. And this also takes a couple of very interesting turns, which I didn't see coming when I was previewing it, but it's really good.
Nice. So that's the dramas. Let's talk about the documentaries.
So we don't have a ton of documentaries, but we do have one in particular that I'm really excited about. It's called "Life is Waiting: Resistance and Referendum in Western Sahara," and it is a feature-length documentary about the political situation going on in Western Sahara. So Western Sahara has been fighting for independence. It's currently controlled under Moroccan rule, but the people of Western Sahara are currently fighting for their sovereignty. And the film really just kind of documents this history. If you ask most people, if you ask them, tell me about Western Sahara, there's a lot of question marks that just come, people just don't really have any idea. So the documentary really focuses on, what the Western Saharan people are fighting for and kind of what's going on over there. And it really just helps to shed a lot of light on on a country that people have no idea about.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about short films.
Short films, yes. So we are having 3 short film programs. One is our Arab American Shorts program, which was the one I referenced that's mostly in English. And it's all by Arab American directors across the United States. And really, the inspiration for this one for me was a lot of people always ask me specifically, what's on the Arab American community's mind? What do they think about this? What do they think about that? And I'm like, well, what better way to figure that out than watching movies and watching Arab American directed specific films on certain topics such as love, gender, sexuality, home, community, different things like that. And then the other shorts film that we have is films from the Arab world. And I'm also really excited for this program as well, because we have really, really great short films that highlight directors from Iraq, from Yemen, from Saudi Arabia, from Syria, and other parts of the Arab world. And again, speaking to kind of the theme, they focus on home, community, diaspora. And in this block of short films, we actually have 2 major films that came out of that were winners out of Sundance, which I'm really excited about. So,
oh wow, yeah. Where do you find these films, and what is the selection process for getting them into the festival?
So for us, the selection process really is we have a Film Freeway account, and it's basically an account where for film festivals, where if you're a director or in the film world, you can submit your film through Film Freeway. And we review all of the films by myself and also a very small committee at the Arab American National Museum. On the other side of that, though, we also do some seeking out. So there are some really major, beautiful films that are out there that have yet to be discovered, or they're sometimes they're very low key. So we do a lot of research on our end to try to find out what's going on, kind of in terms of what's making some of the big film festivals, like the Cannes Film Festival, Sundance, the Toronto Film Festival. But then we also do digging about some of the local folks and some of the Arab countries where we're able to connect with them and just kind of dig, find the films that are less discovered.
Sure.
And give them a platform.
I know the Arab American National Museum is unique in America. Is the film festival in the same way? I mean, are there other Arab film festivals around the country?
Yeah, good question. So the Arab American National Museum, of course, is the only museum, the first and only museum of its kind in the entire country dedicated to telling the history, culture, and contributions of Arab Americans. So that makes us very unique. The film festival is along those lines. So the film festival was kind of birthed when the museum happened. So we're just about as old. We're as old as the museum is itself. But in the United States, from what I can think of, there are only 2 other film festivals that are Arab Film Festival focused. So there are many other film festivals that are like Palestinian or Lebanese or very country specific. But to my knowledge, at least, there are several. We'll say several in case I'm missing a couple, but there are only a very, very small handful of Arab film festivals around the country.
Gotcha. And are most of the films in the film festival from people who are overseas, or are there any from people who are living here in America, filmmakers here in America?
Yeah, so most of the films are overseas. The features are all from overseas, as are most of the short films. But the Arab American Shorts program that I had mentioned, those are all from Arab American filmmakers living in the United States. And we really want to do a better job because we know there's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of talented filmmakers in our own community, let alone across the country. And we're trying to do a much better job as to giving these Arab American artists and filmmakers a platform so they can tell their story. As
you look across the globe, is the filmmaking community stronger in certain Arab countries than others, and are there reasons for that? Yeah.
So the countries that come to mind with really strong film programs are Egypt. Egypt, I think, has the biggest and longest and strongest program that has existed for decades upon decades. And Lebanon also, I think, has a really rich film industry that, again, goes back pretty far. I think a lot of that, again, I'm not an expert, but from what I've kind of read and kind of looked at, I think a lot of that has to do with colonialism. And so I know Egypt was, even though it was ruled by the British and Western powers, it certainly had a lot of autonomy, and it had a lot of nationalism and a lot of identity. And they were able to kind of power through that pretty quickly, which, gave them power to like open cinemas and things like that. In other countries that were kind of colonialized and kind of ruled their national cinemas and filmmaking, it wasn't really a priority. There was more of a priority to, for freedom and things like that. But lately you are seeing a lot more countries wake up in terms of cinema. So you're seeing a huge cinematic presence from Tunisia. The last couple of years I've created the film festival, there's been a lot of really, really great films coming out of Tunisia, also Algeria, Morocco, and many other countries. And in some of the other countries like Somalia and Sudan and other countries, they do have a film presence. It's not as great as some of the other countries, but it's just a matter of kind of finding those and digging those and bringing them up to the surface.
Nice. You've got some family-friendly fare at this year's event too, right?
Yeah, so this is the first time we've done this, at least in my knowledge. So we are bringing a family-friendly short block of films that are, PG, very, very welcoming to all age groups. And then following that, we're going to be doing some film type of games and crafts and whatnot with the kids. So it should be fun.
Oh, very cool. You've got some non-film elements too, right? There's workshops going on. Talk a little bit about those.
Sure. So we're doing a workshop by artist Alia Ali, who is a Yemeni Bosnian American artist. And her workshop really focuses on using the use of image and photography to tell your story and to make a powerful statement. I mean, so often we look at pictures and we look at, different images and, I say, oh, that's a really pretty picture. But so this workshop is really going to kind of craft how you can tell your story with those images, what those images mean, and really give people, give artists and young folks in our community a platform to kind of tell their own story.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And there's an opening reception as well,
Yes, so the opening reception, so I forgot to mention the workshop is free, as is the opening reception. So the opening reception will take place Saturday, June 8th, around 9 p.m., and it's free and open to anybody. There will be having some light finger foods. There'll be a DJ, DJ Tammy, who's in the community, and then there'll be, some room for dancing and kind of networking.
And this is all happening at the museum?
It's all happening at the Arab American National Museum, yes.
Nice.
And we should have some talented filmmakers that are coming in, a few with the Arab American Shorts program and a few others. So you'll be able to kind of meet some of the directors, network, and just have fun.
Now, a lot of this is happening at the museum, but that's not the only location in the festival, right?
Correct. Yes. So we are doing 2 screenings at the Detroit Film Theater in Detroit, and then we're also doing 2 film screenings at the State Theater in Ann Arbor with our partners, Michigan Theater and the Detroit Institute of Arts.
Oh, very cool. If people want to know more, what's the website? How can they find out?
So the website is www.aanmfilmfest.org, or when in doubt, you can always go to the Arab American National Museum's website, which is www.arabamericanmuseum.org, and it has all the information, all the scheduling, the times, everything.
The Arab Film Festival, it's happening June 7th through the 16th. Dave, thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
The D Brief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.